Hello and welcome to another edition of Jaime's Take. Today on Jaime's Take, I'm going to be going over disclosure papers. These are the papers you typically see when you come to see a rental or are working with an agent seeing rentals that you may want to rent. There's a lot of words on these pages. There's two disclosures here. And often kind of startles people if they haven't been exposed to it before, or their agent just isn't very good at explaining what is the purpose of these. So the purpose of these disclosure papers that you receive when you go to a showing is to indicate the role of the agent that you're working with and who they represent in a transaction. When you go to a listing, you may be looking at an exclusive agent representing the owner's interests in a transaction, or you may be walking around looking at different apartments with a tenant's agent who represents your interest in a rental transaction. So let's have a look at these. All right, I'm going to flip over to the screen. All right, so in looking at this, you'll be presented with it, and it is the responsibility of the agent based on the state of New York to present you with these upon the first substantive visit with you as a client. Notice it is not a contract whatsoever, okay? It is simply a disclosure that describes the role of the agent that you're dealing with in a certain rental setting. So if you look at this page, you'll see that there are a variety of different potential positions or roles your agent may take. Let's look at the landlord's agent first. If we're looking at a landlord's agent, this is a person who is engaged by the landlord to represent their interests in a rental transaction. They're going to have fiduciary responsibilities to that landlord. Now, if they're going to do a direct deal with you and you don't have a real estate agent by your side, they are going to exercise reasonable care in performance of their duties. They're going to disclose the facts and deal honestly and fairly. But at the end of the day, they are to represent the landlord's interests. Okay, so let's compare that with the one right below it. This is my favorite job. I love doing this for people. It's being a tenant's agent. The tenant's agent is engaged by the tenant. You come to me and you say, Jaime, I really need a 2-bedroom apartment in a such and such. Then I'm going to spend time finding those for you and leading you to those locations. If you choose to do a rental transaction, I'm going to represent your interest in the transaction. And that means my fiduciary responsibilities and duties are to you. My obligations are also to present, deal honestly, fairly, in good faith, disclose the facts, and maintain your confidentiality. A broker's agent is an agent that cooperates or is engaged by the listing agent or a tenant's agent, but doesn't work for the same firm. A dual agent may represent both the tenant and the landlord. You don't see this as often. So the two that you see most consistently are the landlord's agent. That's usually the gentleman or lady who has the exclusive listing and you're going and visiting it. And this is a tenant's agent, which you have brought to the table to help you fulfill your rental needs. So what happens here is, for instance, there's my name, right? And it will be checked whether it is the landlord or the tenant's agent as the role for the agent you're dealing with. And then you sign off. There's nothing scary here. It simply says that you understand what the role of the agent you're working with is. The second disclosure you see is the Anti-Discrimination disclosure form. We are required to not discriminate by law on race, creed, color, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, military status, sex, age, disability, marital status, or lawful source of income or familial status. We must comply with all fair housing laws. And if you're doing it wrong, a potential client could call that number and report that. I really believe in the Fair Housing Act. And I also believe that if I apply myself correctly to the Fair Housing Act, I'm going to help as many people as possible achieve their goals. And that's my main thing. So if you were the tenant here, we would have you write your name, that you know that, for instance, at Corcoran, we care very much about the anti-discrimination laws and we pledge to follow them. And we show you that right here. So if that should help you take the fear and nervousness out of being presented with a paper at the outset of a rental showing, I hope that clarifies it for you. Agents who do not show these papers to you and present them to you, we are required to by the Department of State. So when you have agents who don't present this to you, it should almost be a cause of concern. I tend to think that people who skip the law in small ways might skip them in big ways. Not necessarily, but it is important that the role of the agent is shown to you. So that's all I have for you for today. It's a very simple lesson, and it should give you confidence when you go out to your rental showings. And I wish you the best right now in this competitive market. Reach out and give me comments or questions or specific situations in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe.